was blessed with an astonishing relationship between myself and Mum. We weren't really together much. A brief period, probably 7 months, something like that, when I was end of 3 years old. And then not again until 5 and a bit, when I came out of hospital. Although she visited almost weekly. We'd come in the car with Dad. It's unusual having a car in those days. Dad was well off, you see. They drive the distance. Take all afternoon, really. Time you get there and spend an hour with me and then drive home afterwards. But the intensity of loving each other, Mum and I, from that sort of coming out of hospital onwards. And in fairness, of course, she'd built it up during our time of being apart from each other, mostly, from birth. But it was a blessing. Probably the contrast was the blessing, without me knowing it, of course, of having Mum. It made me, through, I suppose, the gratitude of this, not even gratitude in a way, just the sheer joy of being with Mum being, made me what she and her friends thought were a perfect child. Devoted child, devoted to her. Just to be with her. I mean, I was no trouble socially, you see. She could be talking endlessly with a friend, and I'd just be with her, probably under the chair that she's sitting on. Just happy to be with Mum. It can't have been 100%, but simplistically I'd say always helpful to her. Always attending on her. Whatever Mum was doing, Marsha was doing. Longed not to go to school, longed not to be at school, longed to be back home with Mum. I could come into the house singing the same song as she had been singing all day. We were in tune, telepathically you might say, in a worldly way. We would sing together. I mean, silly secular songs or traditional songs. While we did whatever we did around the house. We loved singing together. For the sheer joy of singing together. And those 1940, 1950 type songs. I mean, not that would be commended to a Christian upbringing, particularly, of course, just secular. But the joy of singing together, doing everything together. I mean everything. I mean, could be shopping, washing, sweeping, cleaning, gardening, sunbathing, sleeping. If she's got a migraine, then I'm with her, in attendance, laying beside her, ready to get anything, do anything, pull the blinds more, put the fire on, put it off, get her some water. Are you all right, Mum? And we would say regularly, in the course of a day, probably many, many, many times, love you, Mum. And she'd say, love you, Floss or Bub or whatever her choice of friendly name for me was. Constantly check that we're all right. Are you okay, Mum? Shall I make you a cup of tea? Or a cup of coffee? Have a biscuit? Help with the drying up? A devotion. I was being trained to be devoted. Well, I just found I was from my point of view. But it was because of my being so important to her, my knowing that, both knowing we loved each other. Well, I hope to goodness you've experienced something like it, and if you haven't, you can pick up the desire for such and be its fulfillment with your heavenly Dad. It's as simple as that. You can enter into this choice of devotion. Why would you be devoted to him? Because he's the personification of all that you value. Utterly personal to you. Given your particular mix and selection of values, your God is utterly unique to you. And your devotion to him is utterly acceptable to our true Heavenly Father. Why? How can this be? Because he loves us. And because he sees the eternal, beautiful person that you are to him. How does he know this? Because he's your parent. He is your creator. He made you. It is his ability, loving kindness, his being is responsible for us and our eternity of blessedness and joy, peace and love with him. And indeed, all the family, all the host of heaven, all his children. Numbers greater than the sand on the earth. Numbers probably greater than the atoms in the universe. He may have many, many universes. Our God is an awesome God. Our Dad, he reigns from heaven above in wisdom, power and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from the heavens above in wisdom, power and love. Our God is an awesome God. And we are his children. Wow. Love you, Dad.